Hi, I'm Melissa with AdoptAClassroom.org, and welcome to our first ever teacher fundraising chat. We are kicking off the upcoming school year with a little support. We know that you didn't become a teacher to fundraise. It's probably not in your job description, and that's why AdoptAClassroom.org is here. We want to make it as easy as possible for you to get the supplies your students need so you can do what you do best and get back to teaching. To start this event, yes, we are live in the chat. If you have any questions for our team, please comment below and we'll answer you the best we can. If you have any questions you think of after this chat, you always can email info@adoptaclassroom.org. We have a wonderful teacher services team that is made up of former teachers who understand what you're dealing with, and they can help you. Be sure to stay until the end of this video to learn more about our $2,000 classroom supply giveaway. Will only be about 30 minutes. You're going to learn a lot in that time. And you're only going to know how to enter if you get to the end of this video. So stick around and we'll let you know. Now, let's get to the teacher tips.
I think I started with Adopt a Classroom in like 2006, 7, somewhere around there. It's been a really long time. I was fundraising because I was teaching science in an elementary school and they were using all their money on my paycheck and we didn't have any supplies or materials or anything. And I was a younger teacher with little kids at the time. They're grown now. And I just needed some way to bankroll it. And so the reason I do like Adopt a Classroom is because it's very, very flexible in the way that it's funded so that you get the donations. I think it's a year you guys let it be in the account. And that's plenty of time for me to purchase what I need. And I don't always need to do it all right then. I can kind of wait and see if parents are going to, give me something or whatever, because I hate to waste money. So I treat it like it's my own cash. And so it's, for me, it's really nice because, a lot of things I'm buying too. I work in a low income school. So I'm buying like notebooks or pencils or something. And if they come with everybody having notebooks, then I don't need to spend money on that. I can spend it on something else.
Heard about Adopt a Classroom from a friend. She is a fellow teacher too. She's a second grade teacher. Her name's Hannah, and she has a page on there. She showed me her page, and I was like, "This is amazing." And I was like, "So what are you doing? Like, what is this? How does it work?" And then another second grade teacher came in, and we were just so interested because we're so used to being told to share our wish lists, our Amazon wish lists, and I wanted to like remove myself from that because it starts to become like monotonous with just always sharing a wish list and then this really long email on all the things. So I was like, this is so nice. The platform is so easy to use and it looked user friendly too. I like the accountability piece too for them to know where their stuff is going and getting receipts for it.
Completely green to this. Had no clue what even this website was the day that I did it. And honestly, I did it in one day. So it is, once you just get in, it is so easy. Like it's so doable.
I think the first one was kind of automatically set. It was like a suggested, and I was like, all right. And then I exceeded that. So I punched it up a little bit. And then I just kind of set it at what I thought I would need so that I wouldn't, I don't want to ever run out because honestly, because of the way Adopt a Classroom works, I sometimes use it in a pinch, like, oh, I didn't know I need this and now I can get it. And so I don't like it to ever be at zero. I mean, it is sometimes, but I like to keep, a little cushion in there.
It's exciting. Like you want a million things for your classroom, but really honing in like, okay, what are the must-haves? And then based off of that, then I determine, okay, this is all that we need. Like this is I decided like, okay, should I make a small one or a big one? And I'm like, let's just go big. And so we did. So I did that. And so first I determined what all the items I needed. I went onto the websites to calculate the prices. One thing I would recommend that kind of threw me off guard was some of the companies that we do purchase from have shipping costs. So that's something I would recommend is maybe add an extra $100 over your goal just to cover that. So it doesn't cut into your items that you want to purchase. So once I decided what it was, what I was buying, then I got a total amount. So I'll be honest with you, my initial goal was $1,000. And then, so the day that my family and students and friends were donating, I had an uncle that had donated and he like kept watching throughout the day and he like called me, he's like, hey, you need to up your goal. Like you're already going to hit 1,000. Like you need to go to 1,500. And so yeah, it was so cool. I went up to 1,500, and then by the end of the day, I ended up getting 1,700. So it was like super exciting.
Hi, I'm Jillian. I teach pre-K in St. Paul, Minnesota. And my teacher fundraising tip is to use your Adopt a Classroom page to reach a broader audience beyond your immediate community. Share your classroom story, highlighting the impact and importance of early childhood education or your area of teaching. Encourage parents, relatives, friends, and even strangers passionate about education to donate and help meet the needs of your classroom. There are people out there that are willing to share their skills too.
The nice thing is I highly recommend is when you do go in to edit your page, it has the tips on the edit page where it'll tell you exactly, gives you some clues, some different suggestions on what to write about. I would definitely recommend reading that. And then also, I also went and just looked at other pages just to get ideas and inspiration, just to see what they were writing about. And I looked at people that were, and honestly, I tended to look at pages that had already received money to see what was working for them. I would also say one of the biggest things I thought about, okay, so the people that are going to be donating to me are people that are not in the education field. And so I try to think of it as from their perspective, like they don't know what the education jargon is. And so they don't understand what a typical classroom consists of. And so I just really thought about it from their lenses. And I went back and I let them know who my kids were and where they came from. So they understood that not all kids come equipped with what they need ready to learn each day. And that with teaching, it's not just straight teaching. Like you have to make sure that they're emotionally, physically sound before you can even start teaching them. So I put that information there to let my donors know, like, okay, hey, my kids are coming from different walks of life. My kids have struggles, my kids have strengths. And so, and they're from one spectrum to the other. And so we have to find that middle ground and where we can give them an even playing field.
I thought it was really strong to have a strong headshot. So I used my current headshot that I got from my yearbook. I also do yearbook at a media. So I got that. And then the banner was really cool. And I was like, what is gonna scream like library? What's gonna happen without using like kids' faces and stuff like that, getting into that realm of liability. And I saw one of my graphics said, shh, be quiet in the library, and it matched the glasses that I wore. So I was like, oh yeah, that'd be great. You got to be honest about like why you need the things. Like I said, like a strong headshot, a strong banner, but I think showing off a space, like showing off like where you're at, really describing that space and saying like, you know, what you lack, what you need, and why you need it. And then even if you could have that be your banner, like it might be a lackluster classroom, or it might be a space that you're talking about. One of the fellow teachers that I work with, she wrote a very generic like adopt a classroom page, and I gave her some advice that the thing that sticks out for her to me is her classroom has an outdoor classroom. She's the only one at our school that decided to adopt like this little patio outside and like make it where they like grow veggies and have a plant study. And this is kindergarten, and like eat these veggies and talk about it and read their library books out there. I mean, she has made it so cool, but there's so much stuff that she could get. There's so much stuff that she can make it even cooler. And like she does need things that break out there, and new chairs and flexible seating for those little ones that just can't sit still. But she was just like, oh, you're so right. Like, have a focus. I was like, you're a great teacher. I know that. Like, I don't need to hear all the things on why you're a great teacher. Like, talk about what it is that you need to focus on and how do you make it better. And I think it gives the person who wants to donate a visual point to like zoom in and say, oh, dang, I see it as your banner. I know where you want to go. I know why you need those items. And that is really cool that you're the only teacher doing that.
I mean, I don't want, I don't know, I want to just kind of put out there like why we need it and what we're doing with it. I think probably even more important than the, oh, feel bad for us, we don't have any money. It's more like, here are these amazing opportunities that I want to give these kids, and I need some help because for whatever reason, my district is not purchasing these items. And then kind of explaining, because again, if you want people to donate, they kind of got to see themselves in the classroom. And so talking about like what kind of community you're working in, if the kids, my kids are pretty hardworking, a lot of them are learning English, kind of connecting to people that might see themselves in that and be like, oh, you know what, that'd be really cool. I would like to donate to that. I don't know, that's where I start. But honestly, I just kind of scribble it down on a piece of notebook paper first, like kind of what I want to say, and then I revise it and then I type it in there. I look it over probably a couple times a year, make sure it's like relevant. Honestly, though, like for people that think it takes a long time, it does not. It is very low time wise, I feel like, compared to other things that I've used. And like I said, I've fundraised many different ways. I've wrote essays and, all kinds of stuff trying to get money. So for me, like it's maybe in the immediate to put it together the first time, 20 minutes. I mean, you got to find some pictures, load them up. The first time you write your thing is always awkward, but then after that, you're just kind of revising what you're doing.
Hi, I'm Danielle. I teach kindergarten and first grade in the Bronx, New York. My fundraising tip is I like to fundraise before the holidays. I let my family and friends know, and this way it can be a gift. I also let my parents know because who needs another mug?
So I think it's all about, educating them because they really don't understand or even know have heard of AdoptAClassroom, and making sure that they realize that's something too is making sure they realize that your classroom gets 100% of those funds, and then it's going straight to you and not. I think sometimes people get confused. Oh, it's just going to the school. Like I had a cousin that called me and like just wanted more clarification and just was asking, hey, so what exactly do you do with this money? What do you need it for? And like it's funny to not funny, but you quickly realize that people outside of education don't realize how much teachers spend on materials for their students. Like they just assume, like in any other corporation, that everything's given to you. And so I think that was eye opening too. Is just really spreading the word and explaining to them why you're asking for the money, and giving that peace of mind, knowing that that money's going straight to your classroom and to what your kids need.
It was great to be able to see all of the participation I got, not from my family. This is from friends of mine for the AdoptAClassroom. And so I think at the end of the day, you just kind of bite the bullet, and teachers may be a little hesitant, like they're coming across as a freeloader or, a panhandler, so to speak, or something in that regard. I think once you can get out of that mentality and just understand there's a lot of people out there that do want to help education, when they're presented with the opportunity, I think they can really come through, and it makes teachers happy too.
I had to get over the idea that asking for help is negative. And I think that's just part of what's ingrained in our society, that asking for help is a weakness, and it really isn't. A problem shared is a problem that's cut in half, kind of thing. If other people don't know that, hey, I really want to do this coding project with my kids, but I don't have the materials. Well, how can we get it to you? Said, okay, well, here's AdoptAClass. You just have to be able to speak up. My web page that I have, I do make sure I state the needs, and I try not to sound like I'm begging, but it's an actual need of a goal and that something I want to do for my kids. And I think if the teacher shows that they're enthusiastic about what they want to do, it's more in a positive way of asking for help.
Hi, I'm Dana. I teach third grade in Taylorville, Illinois. My fundraising tip for you is to be as specific as possible when you are setting up your AdoptAClassroom page. For example, last year I wanted to update my classroom library area. Specifically, I wanted to buy new bookshelves and potentially add a rug to the area, and also add some graphic novels and some additional nonfiction books. All I had to do was simply write those goals on my Adopt a Classroom page and sent out the link via email to my parents. And within 48 hours, I had $300 to $400 worth of donations, and the donations continued to come in after that point. Happy fundraising.
So classrooms these days are very diverse. Like you have very well established families, and then you have some families that, unfortunately aren't able to provide for their kids for everything that they need. And so I think it's also letting those parents understand, hey, we have a diverse range of needs in our classroom. If you're able to donate, great. If not, you can help in other ways. And just make it, I think if you put that on your class page, it'll speak for itself. And giving them that link and just, giving them the no obligations to have to donate, but it's there if you're able to and willing to.
I basically tell the parents and I say, I got Adopt a Classroom. Here's the link. This is what it's about. Sometimes I'll include a tutorial or like what Adopt a Classroom is about, a video that you guys have like on YouTube or something. Include that. So if you're not sure what Adopt a Classroom is about, here, this is what it is.
I kind of developed these relationships over the year with my kids, my students, and some of that spills over into some of the families. This last year I had fantastic families where I supplied all of my kids snacks every day. Asking people, hey, I have some items in my classroom that, I can't come out of pocket. I mean, there's a lot of teachers that can't spend money. Would you like to help? And if you can have your AdoptAClassroom.org page ready at the beginning of the year, that's great. On Meet the Teacher Night or Back to School Night or whatever it is, whatever the school does, have that link available. And that's simply just putting it on a piece of paper and it's right here. Because you're going to have a lot of families that say, is there anything I can do to help? Yeah, look right here, you can donate.
I don't want parents to feel obligated to have to contribute because they already contribute so much. And especially if you come from like a low income school. So like if they already lack resources to even get to school, I don't really expect to push out Adopt a Classroom links to parents. But I am very open and willing to ask my homeroom teachers, what parents would you suggest me reach out to that have given before? Because that already shows me you have the means, that is interested in giving, that's interested in sponsoring. Sometimes they're interested because they have like a business and they have done something like that before where they're like, we'll sponsor a classroom set of folders. So like 20 folders or markers or whatever. And I think if I get that information, because they have more intel on the parents than I do, I think that really helps, and you're not just giving a parent another thing to have to like have anxiety over if they're already like, I'm struggling and I barely can get my kids to school. I'm not trying to hear that.
Yeah, that is tough. And so I think, that's really where you have to think outside. It's reaching out to friends and family that truly get your passion and want to help donate. Because I think once they see that, their money that they're donating isn't being wasted, then they're willing to. Because, if your students' families don't have it, they don't have it. And that's out of your realm. But then I think it's being creative and reaching out to other members that can help out, friends and family. And like I said, the biggest thing is capitalize on the donors match because that'll easily multiply your money.
If it is like they can't even afford like basic pencils, they can't afford like, just classroom supplies, I think that is at a point where you have to kind of look for grants, look for a local business to sponsor you, look for a local tools for school. All of these things are going to enrich your classroom in some way. And I think if you can just partner with somebody who like the local deli down the street and just say, would you like to sponsor me to get a classroom set, right? A classroom set of folders or colored pencils or whatever. I think them spreading the word or even just printing out your Adopt a Classroom page, you could be like, you sponsored 5 folders or 10 folders, a classroom set of something for my class. And then they can like post it in their window. And then the next person can see that and be like, oh my gosh, so you guys do this, or who is this? there's a lot of things that you can do. And also I think reach out to your local committees. Like we have a chamber of commerce, we have a SAC, we have a school board. I mean, we got a lot of people that are saying they're for teachers. So this is the time to really tap into those resources.
So big corporations, Burlington gave me probably the most. I think I got like $1,000 from them. And I was like so grateful. Lubriderm, Quaker, those are the big ones I remember off the top of my head. But also like my own family, people I know from college, my like extended family, like my uncle just gave $50 not too long ago. So it's a wide variety.
And so once I realized that my AdoptAClassroom was established, I just copied the link and I sent the link through text messages, and I started with family. I sent it to my mom and my aunt who live in Utah still. And then, they donated right away. And I was like, okay, that's cool. What else can I do? So I just went through and selected a bunch of contacts in my phone. So I copied the link on my cell phone. I went through and started this group chat. And one of my group chats has about 12 friends of mine that I stay in contact with, that I went to high school with. And of the 12 people that I sent it to, I think 9 of them donated. And that was, that took place over like a 2-day stretch. I was like, wow, this is really cool.
I have it in my signature line on my email that goes out, my link to my page. I have it in my Google Classroom. I post the link in my newsletters. It's one of the first things at the top of my newsletter every time one goes home. My principals will share it out in school newsletters. I just mention it to people because it's easy to find your name. You don't have to have the person's website. You can just say AdoptAClassroom, but they can find your name and make a donation.
I've actually had a couple of people, some retirees, my partner's family. He's so sweet, but he has a huge family. Some people who have volunteered for book fair. I sent it to a couple of people from SAC, our Student Advisory Council, and I sent it to our PTA board. So just well-known listservs that I have, and then kind of funneling it out to those people so far. I have yet to post it on my social media yet, which I plan on doing in July.
Hi, my name is Crystal. I'm a kindergarten teacher. I teach in Tolleson, Arizona. My teacher fundraising tip is to use social media. Social media is such a powerful tool that everybody uses. It's such a great way to get your page across all platforms and to so many people. There are so many people out there willing to help you and your classroom and your students to get the supplies you need. So using social media is such a powerful tool to post your link everywhere and have donors go directly to your classroom page, read about what it is your classroom needs, and have those donations come through. I think in your community, you can also post flyers, possibly with a QR code that again sends them directly to the link of your classroom homepage, passing that out in your community to parents and to other teachers possibly, and letting other teachers know of this wonderful tool that is AdoptAClassroom.org so that they can also try to get some donations and help for their classrooms, as we know that all year we need different supports for our students. And a wonderful thing to note for our donors to make note of is that AdoptAClassroom.org is a nonprofit organization, which means that all donations are tax deductible, which is amazing. And I think it's so important to note for our donors to hopefully get some more donors to come through and help donate to our amazing classrooms. I hope that this teacher tip helps you get the fundraising that you need in your classroom. Thank you.
All right, so I posted on Facebook and on Instagram, and on my page, my personal page, the school page, and then the alumni was very kind to post it on their page. So anytime we have something, they will post it for, they'll share it to their page for me. So social media has become very handy.
When I put anything on my social media, like, hey, please donate, it's always like, hey, need a tax write-off? Especially towards the end of the year when a lot of people start thinking about their taxes, like November, December. My people that are donating to me are probably going to be my age or older. Again, thinking about who has money that's, expendable to give, and they're not, barely making it. And then what kinds of social media those people might use. So I use Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook for fundraising. For Instagram, I usually put it in the stories. I think you can add a link in stories. I always change the one link that they give you if you're not like some kind of influencer in my bio to the Adopt a Classroom page, because people will not get, if it's not easy, they're not going. So on Instagram, I'll usually put a picture of my classroom or something that we need, or the kids doing something. Kids is tricky. It depends on your rules of your school and your, all your photo releases and stuff. But I've got a lot where you can see kids, but you can't really see their faces. But you can see their hands and, stuff like that. And then I'll be like, hey, this is what we need this year. And it's been hard. And we need this many notebooks, and I'm trying to fundraise right now. And then I'll put link in bio so that they can go there and click right on it. And again, if it's hard, they're not going, especially not people my age, because they're like, my husband can barely work his phone. So again, depending on your audience, Facebook's easier because the link can be embedded right there. It makes it really easy for older people who aren't used to navigating that kind of thing to click in and find you. I always say though, like in Instagram too, like you just go to AdoptAClassroom.org and search my name, because I've got a page or whatever. So that's another way. And Twitter, I usually use a photo post. So I photograph the information and then I put the link. I feel like it's easier than you think it is, but it does require some effort on your part. And I think it kind of requires knowing your audience, because honestly, you never know who's going to donate. And so if you have like a wide reaching Facebook page of everybody you ever worked with and these people you went to college with, and like I was in a sorority, so sorority sisters, and all those people are potential donors. And again, if you're putting it out there and you're like describing your classes so they see themselves in it. I remember once when I was trying to fundraise books, this was when I had a brief stint as an English teacher. And I was trying to fundraise a classroom library because I didn't have any books at the 7th grade level or 8th grade level. And so many people donated just because of their feelings for books. Like they just loved reading when they were a kid. And so again, like being kind of specific, not just like we need money for class, but like I'm trying to create scientists here. I'm making the next doctors or whatever, so that you can kind of connect with somebody's. Because again, if you connect with their feelings, they're more likely to give you money, and then you can use it. And then everybody feels good. Win-win for all.
Hi, my name is Sheila. I teach kindergarten through 8th grade, physical education and technology in Macon, Georgia. My teacher fundraising tip is to read the emails that you receive from Adopt a Classroom. Because even if you don't receive regular donations, there are other opportunities to earn donations by doing things like updating your profile or participating in a chat like this.
So here's one of the coolest things is when so this was my first time to do it. So I was initially like, oh my gosh, where am I going to get money from? Because initially my goal was $1,000. And so I was like, that's quite a bit of money. Like, how am I going to raise that much money? So one of the coolest things is Adopt a Classroom sends out those emails and keeps you updated on their promotions and their giveaways. And I saw the donor match one up to $50. And so I said, okay, this is like, I had it like, so I made my website back in August, and I didn't actually send any info out on it till September because I wasn't quite sure how to ask for that. And so I actually used my Class Dojo for my class parents, and then I also used family and friends, but I waited to the day of the class donor matching, and at 7 a.m. I sent out text messages individually to my family and a Class Dojo to my students' families and said, hey, don't feel obligated, but or our class will be grateful if you could donate money. The company's matching up to $50 per donation. Here's the link, but please don't feel obligated to. And I mean, the cool thing was I got this all in one day. Yeah. So, okay. So when you say that, so when I looked, so the neat thing is when I initially made my page, like within a day or two, I had a random donor donate $50, which excites you and wants you to keep going.
So also too, if you're trying to raise during like a matching fund time on social media, I think it's good to like post it a couple of times, especially if there's like a time limit, because again, people might say, oh, I'll go later and do that. And then they forget about it. And so you got to like throw it out them again. And this is where people are like, I hear a lot of people say like, oh, well, I put it up there and nobody ever did anything and I didn't get any money and blah, blah, blah. And they're all sad and they give up. And I'm like, no, like go back and do it again. Especially nice with AdoptAClassroom because again, there's no time limit before you can't raise the money. If you only raise $50, you can go back out and try to get more $50, but you can also spend the $50. It doesn't go away. And I don't know, it's worth it to me. If they're people you know, one of my best tips is make sure you call them out on whatever social media they donated on. Because one, it brings your thing back up to the top of whoever's feed or whatever. And then two, people like being acknowledged publicly, whether they say it or not, they like being acknowledged publicly. And it tends to increase donations from others. So I always do like a big shout out. And, you know, I tag them in it and I say thank you and I tell them what we're using it for.
So I'll generally ask kids, record the kids saying thank you and what it means to them, and, you know, shoot a quick little video to that family. You know, I also have kids make thank you cards. So we try to make thank you cards every couple of weeks, and it might just be for some people at our school, staff members, custodians, lunch workers. And, you know, kids are learning about gratitude. Kids are learning, you know, I mean, they get to be a little creative and artistic with colored pencils, crayons. But thank you cards are ways that I acknowledge families that are helping us out.
We see kids handwriting all day, but for a donor to see a children's handwriting just like brightens their day.
That's the one thing I really do like about the program is when I do get a donor, when I log in, the first thing I have to do is say thank you. I can't go any further until I say thank you. And to thank, because I've seen it from the other end, because I've had family donate to my room and they'll say, oh, I got a message saying that you spent money on canvases or some glitter glue or some batteries. What are you going to do with them? So I make sure that I also in the thank you include what I'm going to use the items for. Because wants and needs change as time goes on, and maybe by the time they donate something, I've moved on to a different supply that I'm going to be buying. So I like, you said you were going to buy books and now you're buying batteries. What? I don't get it. So I try to make sure that I'm always clear about what I'm spending money on.
Hi, it's Melissa again. Thank you to all of the teachers who made this teacher fundraising chat possible. We so appreciate your expertise and real life experience. So now that you're ready to fundraise, here's the information you need for our $2,000 giveaway. To help kickstart fundraising in time for the new school year, we'll be randomly selecting 20 pre-K through 12 teachers registered with AdoptAClassroom.org to receive a $100 classroom donation. Not bad, huh? To be eligible for a chance to win, teachers must update their classroom page to include this hashtag, FundMyClassroom, by July 31st, 2023. Go to AdoptAClassroom.org/teacher chat for the full giveaway rules. We've also got some tips there for you and more information that should make it easier to enter this giveaway. Finally, let's end on a few reminders to help with your fundraising. Number one, Be sure you're registered with AdoptAClassroom.org and keep your classroom page current. The majority of classroom adoptions come from our corporate partners, so it's a great idea just to keep your page up to date so we know that you need funds. Number 2, check your inbox or our social media channels for funding opportunities like giveaways or donation matches several times per year. Look for those giveaways and matches in August, at the end of the year, and in May for Teacher Appreciation Week. Sometimes we have some random giveaways and matches throughout the year too if we have extra funds. It's an easy way to connect with your donors or just try to get funds through Adopt a Classroom. AdoptAClassroom.org also offers grant funding through our Spotlight funds that focus on STEM, the arts, inclusive classrooms, racial equity in the classroom, and more. And you can only really hear about those grant opportunities if you receive our emails or follow us on social media. Our fundraising guide, URL here, includes in-depth and step-by-step instructions for fundraising for your classroom. We also have a checklist you can download and follow to make fundraising a little easier. Thank you for joining us this evening. As always, if you have any questions, need support, you can reach us at info@adoptaclassroom.org. And finally, thank you for everything you do for your students and for our communities and for our nation. We wouldn't have the strong education systems we have without teachers. So we're here to support you, and happy fundraising.